for self-discovery and soul alignment. Explore the path of personal growth and awaken your inner wisdom. Each episode offers soulful insights, practical tools, and real reflections to support your evolution from the inside out. This is Evolving with Soul. I'm Josette Diaz. Through the Art of Awareness community membership, I guide women back to their true essence, free from expectations. Join us in the journey, Evolving with Soul, new episodes weekly. Evolving with Soul, a conversation series for self-discovery and soul alignment. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Evolving with Soul. I'm Josette Diaz, and I'm a self-awareness coach for women in midlife. And as you heard in the intro, I run a beautiful community called the Art of Awareness. And this is a place where women can discover their true essence through the practice of creative strategies. So if that sounds enlightening to you or lights you up in some way, there is information and you can come and join us. I'd love to have you. I have a wonderful guest with me today. Her name is Debra Valentina. And Debra is a soul project catalyst and midwife. Debra's the founder of Okay, I had to practice saying this, Debra. Creativing.
Creativing. Yeah.
Creativing. And I absolutely love that you've created your own word for what it is that you do. I think that's so important that we are able to emulate what it is that is happening behind the scenes and create something new and fresh. And Debra has a passion for empowering women to birth their soul's passion project, including writing their unique and powerful stories. To this end, Debra has spent over 35 years as an intuitive life coach and writing mentor for professional women who want to make a difference in their communities and the world. So you are just right for what it is that we are about to talk about today, Debra. I'm so excited. Debra's also a published author, and she has, since the 7th grade, and in 2022 became an international best-selling author. And Debra also is an international speaker on personal development topics. In March of 2024, Debra spoke at the United Nations at the International Conference on the Status of Women. That's a very important stage, and how exciting that must have been for you.
It was very, very exciting. And thank you for the invitation to be on your podcast. And I'm thrilled to launch into a dialogue with you.
Oh, same. I'm really excited. Today, we're going to be talking about women on the edge of becoming. And I think that this is something that most women kind of feel throughout their life. They're always on a particular edge at different moments of their life that are pivotal. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, especially with your background and all of the extensive work that you've done with women. And so I'd like to get started by just kind of opening it up with a question.
Okay.
And so here's the question. The fear of visibility. I think so many women go through this. No matter how confident you are, no matter how much education you have to back up what it is that you're doing in your life, no matter what circumstances there are, women go through this thing of being afraid to be visible. And how do we give voice to something that feels fragile or new to us? What would you say about that?
Oh my goodness, a lot. So I would start by saying that I've worked with, at this point, thousands of women. And I have not worked with one or met one who does not have some fear of visibility. So my sample to me means 100% of women deal with this on some level, some some more than others. Um, and the visibility part, the source of it I find can be either trauma in this lifetime or in past lifetimes. So I'll just speak for myself. As a child, I grew up in a family that was much less expressive than I was, and so I was always from as early as I can remember was considered too much.
Mm.
And when you get that message, you're too much, then you tone yourself, or I toned myself down. And so I've actually spent a lifetime toning myself back up, fully expressed. And so that, when you tone yourself down, that is in all areas of your,
Mhm.
for me, it was in all areas of my life. And so speaking is like in the introduction, to speak at the United Nations was a huge victory for me, because if you're trying to tone yourself down and then you have a worldwide stage,
Right.
that's a contrast. So it's one of the biggest victories in my life, because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm no longer invisible. This is for
Yeah.
sure. I'm no longer invisible. So I would say that. And then the other part of your question was around this is how I took it, when you're trying to birth something, and you're trying something out.
Mhm.
What I do is I end up sharing it with what I call my inner circle, with it's mostly women who I trust and love, and who will tell me their true viewpoint about it. And so I have birthed many projects in my lifetime, and I don't like to go to, as I say, gazillions of people, but people that I trust to kind of test
Mhm.
the waters, because sometimes what you're trying to birth is very fragile.
Yes. I think that that's a good point. What else were you gonna say about that?
Nope, that's what I had to say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and I love that you spoke to, bringing counsel to your inner circle, because it's true, there's like you have to have, when you're doing something that's really fragile like that, or you're birthing something that, is new for you, and you're trying it on basically, because it's not gonna be perfect out of the gate, right? You're gonna have some trial and error. And so you want to be around people who really will hold space for you, and that can, in the truest sense of the word of what you value, they can hold you in that space and honor your values as you go through that process. And
Yes, and I would say that, I guess the other piece that I was going to say was around cheerleaders, and
mhm,
surrounding yourself with cheerleaders, but cheerleaders who will also not only cheer you on, but tell you the truth of their viewpoint.
yeah,
You don't necessarily have to accept it, but it's coming from the truth of their soul.
right.
Um, the other thing I was going to say is, because I've helped for the last probably 15 years or so, lots of women writing their how-to books
Mhm.
or their memoirs. Um, uh, if I find that you can tell the level of self-confidence of the writer
Mm.
by how many people they want to share it with. So if they want to share it with dozens of people versus just a few, it means they want approval
Mhm.
from dozens of people. And what I find is what ends up happening is confusion, because if you're asking 2 dozen people and they all have different opinions, then you're left with a mishmash of viewpoints, and
Right.
then it's confusing on where to go. So I always recommend that it be more of a few and an inner circle,
Mhm.
so that you don't get confused by all the viewpoints.
Yes. I think that, there's a couple things that come to mind when you say that. One is there are times when you only ask people that you have an anticipation of what kind of opinion they're going to give you, so there's a certain safety around that. And then when you ask someone that is not as familiar with you, you're going to get more of hopefully a purely objective point of view. Someone might hold back because they may not wanna hurt your feelings, yet at the same time, you will get something different regardless of that. And so I think that it's, not that you should go around asking a zillion people that you don't know. That's not my point. I do think that sometimes it's good to get a sampling outside of that as well, just to kind of test yourself and push your edge a little bit further, because sometimes someone outside of you will bring something in that you didn't recognize within yourself.
Yeah, I would say that's true. Um, the in response to what you said, one of the things that I use in terms of feedback, because we're
Mhm.
talking about
Yeah.
feedback, is that I talk to what I call my knowingness. Other people call it
Mm.
intuition or intuitive guidance. And I rely on, I call her a her. I
Yes.
rely on her to give me the straight poop, as I say, about whatever it is. And
Mhm.
so I dialogue with her daily, actually. And so a lot of my feedback, if you will, is inner feedback rather than outer feedback. That's taken me a lifetime to kind of move to
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes. I totally understand that. There was a time when, I felt I needed to ask the key people in my life what they thought about it, because I needed that validation. I wanted to know that it felt like enough, and I wanted to feel like it was enough. And so, it's taken a lot of work to process that and to unfold it, you know, so that there's a level of awareness where others' opinions are not as important in the same way that they were when I felt like that.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And I think that as women are on the edge of becoming this next version, whatever it is that they're um, seeking to obtain for themselves. It can be personal, it can be business, it could be a particular project, whatever it is. That no matter what stage you are within your own inner growth and development, you're always going to be meeting a particular edge. And when it gets uncomfortable, that's kind of your cue. that's your cue that you're right on the edge of it. And what would you say about I think you have something that you'd like to share.
Well, I'm just totally with you. You know, I love the title, "Women at the Edge of Becoming." I think we're always at the edge of becoming,
Mhm.
and that we're always in the process of becoming. You know, if we're not, we're no longer on this planet. Is what
Right.
is what I like to say.
Yeah.
Um, and the you know, at the edge of becoming, what I think about is curiosity.
Mm.
And I've been thinking a lot lately about my becoming, and one of the strengths that I believe I have is around curiosity,
Mm.
because it's the question, what am I becoming? What's next, and what am I becoming? And that has never stopped, and hopefully will never, will never
Yeah,
stop.
I don't think it ever does. The minute that I've felt that, "Oh, I've reached this plateau that I had been seeking," then it's nice for a little bit, nice little hum, and then all of a sudden I have a new awareness. And that next awareness takes it to another level of, seeking, learning, um, and and the way that my perception is about possibility expands. So it's kind of like this expand and then hum and then contract and expand.
Oh,
That's how
I
I
love
describe it.
that. I love that. Um, and what my experience is that some uh, are more comfortable with staying at the hum
Mhm.
for longer.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I am not a hum for very long person, and I can tell that you aren't.
Mhm.
You aren't either. Um, over the over the weekend, I was in two different seminars.
Mhm.
This is the I was in the hum too long recently, and so I needed to have some new input.
Yes.
Um, so I was on a Tony Robbins seminar for Thursday and Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday I was on a Mind Valley summit. Oh my God, both of those kicked my butt. I've got so much, like, oh my God, there's so much more to go. There's, I've got all these ideas. I mean, just, and it was self-induced because of the hum
Mhm.
that you're talking about.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah,
Mm.
I was just thinking about the tolerance again.
Mhm.
Is some people have more tolerance for the hum, and or less tolerance for the hum,
Sure.
because in my belief system there's always more.
Mhm.
There's more to contribute. There's more to do, and there's more to be of service.
Absolutely. And I think that we're constantly expanding, and, um, I think that sometimes it can be hard for us to depending on what's going on in your life. I remember when I was raising my kids, um, it's just such a busy time in a person's life. And so it's very easy to be attracted to it just humming along. That's really all you want. You just want some stability, lower the chaos, you know? And so it's very easy to stay in that space. And so I think that sometimes the hum can be so incorporated with your resistance.
Mm.
And I think that resistance can lie in that what we might consider stable, those stable moments where it doesn't feel as chaotic, that things are just kind of humming along, they're just moving. And yet underneath that is like a little energy of resistance that just sits there like, no, no, I don't want anything else to shift or change. I've been working to get to here.
Mm.
And so depending on where you are in your life, I think that you have to give yourself a certain amount of grace to even allow yourself to be in the resistance. And the moment that you can see the resistance and acknowledge it, it then starts to just fade away. And without you even doing anything, this is what I found my experience has been, is that without you even doing anything, something rises and then propels you to the next level of
Yeah,
being.
I love that, Josette. What it reminds me of is, you shed light on the resistance, and
Mhm.
as soon as you shed light on anything, it's no longer in the dark, and then it will start to dissolve. And it's recognizing it is 90% of it.
Right. Yes.
um, and yes, and around resistance, I was thinking about that word, is I can, if I stop long enough, and I do this when I meditate, and I've been meditating for over 50 years now. I
Mm.
cannot believe it. Highly recommend that, because that's when my knowingness talks to me,
Mhm.
and I'm quiet enough for it to, for her to tell me the wisdom.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but in the quiet moments, I, you know, like I said, just hear all the wisdom and hear what I need to hear. And I can also, what I started to say is, I can check into my heart, and to me, you can tell. I can tell when I'm in resistance is because there's a little contraction in my heart.
Mhm.
So it's a physical sensation, resistance has. And so I'm like, oh, okay, what is that about? And then I can dialogue with the resistance.
Yes, and feeling it in your body is, I think the first one of the things that I work with women on, so often is, okay, well, if you have this feeling, then where's it sitting? Where were you first informed of it? And you're gonna feel that in your body.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really important. I love that you said that because I'll feel resistance, like, all around my heart. It's like it hits my chest. It feels like tension, almost like I can't breathe.
Yeah.
And so when I have that, then I can just drop right in and just recognize what I'm resisting.
Yeah, and it's also a really good. Your heart is such a beautiful teller of truth,
Mhm.
and uh, if I'm, it's also, I find, good for making decisions. Like, if I'm looking at doing something, is this in my highest good?
Mhm.
And my heart starts to contract, um, that's either resistance or a hard no.
Mhm.
And then I have to distinguish, why my heart is reacting that way.
And I think you bring up a really good point, because I think this is where so many of us can get lost or overthink or get caught up in our thoughts rather than what's really going on. When you spoke of, you get to determine, is the resistance a hard no, or is the resistance something else? And I think that's an easy place to get lost, especially when you're on the edge of something, because you're you're already somewhat overthinking. And because that edge is pushing you, it's pushing you to break through the next layer, and uh, to really get discerning around what that resistance is and what that means. Do you have techniques that you use with women to help them determine those types of places that they get into when they're pushing that next edge?
Yes, and it's connected to to your knowingness, or whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
intuitive guidance, intuition, inner compass, whatever you'd like to call it. And I do a process that's grounds and then has people connect to their knowingness, and you can do it by like I said, by I do it automatically by being having meditation for about 10 minutes and then getting really still to be able to hear it. But here is some clues. Like there's the left brain monkey mind,
Yeah.
and then there's the true knowingness, and they speak in different languages. And so, for example, the monkey mind is full of shoulds.
Mhm.
It talks fast. It's got kind of a frenetic voice, as contrasted with your knowingness voice, which is very matter of fact, which it's talks slowly, and is always loving and never has shoulds. So there's I teach my women clients to distinguish that voice. Now, if you're not used to doing that, it takes some time and some practice, but it's once you get sort of the hang of it, I mean, the voices are very different.
Yes. Absolutely, and that's such a good point. I love that you brought up how to determine the 2 voices, because it's so important. I think that, it can be confusing. It's the same voice, right? You hear the same voice, yet it's different wording, it's different phrasing, it's got a different cadence to it,
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
and it takes um, practicing observation of yourself.
Yes. Yes. And yes. And when I was saying that I have been meditating for 50 years, one of the interesting things that has happened, which I'm actually very proud of, is that usually someone's monkey mind is
Mhm,
louder than your knowingness
mhm.
voice. That's usually how it is. Then when you start practicing, it starts to switch
Right.
in terms of the loudness. So my knowingness voice is actually louder than my monkey mind, which is the part I'm proud of,
Mhm.
because um, it's not obnoxiously loud. It's just knowing louder.
The words that come to mind are calm assurance.
Mm.
There's a calm assurance in that voice.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I would say that's true. It's like it's like a knowing, and it's like, don't mess with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the assurance part.
Right,
Don't
exactly.
mess with me.
I love that you mentioned, it's a straightforward, always loving and kind, straightforward. I always know when I'm speaking to her because she is just on the money, and there's no fluff around it. It's just the way it is.
Yes. Well, and you bring up another great point, which is the other distinction between the two voices.
Mhm.
The monkey mind will just talk incessantly, like in long sentences, long phrases. And the knowingness voice is just sometimes just words, sometimes
Mhm.
just a short phrase. So
Yeah.
because the longer story and the longer phrases, the left brain, monkey brain, is trying to convince you that it's right.
That's so true. It's really true. And it will do it in little sneaky ways too. There's sneaky ways that I mean, we're talking about, we can also phrase it as ego.
Correct. Yeah.
And so that comes in, and when that comes in, it can get a little bit sticky until
Yes.
you understand, right?
Well, until you understand, and more importantly, until you can observe it.
Mhm.
Like, wow, how interesting.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I find that's where the key to you'll find the key to your patterns in that voice, and those patterns can then help you. I've noticed this, that especially when you're on the edge of becoming something different, a different version of yourself, the next layer is being revealed, that, uh, those patterns, understanding those patterns and recognizing them can be the most insightful and the most helpful for you to pay attention to consistently, so that as you are shifting into the next layer of yourself, you are releasing and healing at the same time those places within you that have held you back to get to this next layer. And without it, that layer is never really going to completely unfold.
Well said. Very well said. Yes. And again, if you're in the observant mode, which
Mhm.
is a very powerful mode
Yes.
to be in, and which meditation, it helps you enormously with, um, then you can, it's like, seeing a third person and getting, one of my favorite words, get curious about those patterns,
Yeah.
get curious about, wow, and what does that get me? And how is that furthering my life? And oh, maybe I should start looking at new habits. What would that look like?
Yes, new habits. That's a good one. I love that. I love that a lot because it does take you, it takes you to the ability to kind of reframe the existing pattern you've been in that has just happened automatically. And there's things you do in that pattern so automatic that you don't recognize them. It can take a little time to recognize that. And so instead of, I do this, that no longer applies, this applies. And creating those new habits or new ways of being that actually are supporting the becoming that you are. If that sound Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. Well, and just as you were talking, I was thinking about one of the things that has been one of the most challenging for me to master in my life. And that is my love of food. I
Mm.
love food.
Me too.
And I don't want to deprive myself, but I just notice around habits that I have habits that do not serve me.
Mhm.
And one of them, which I have recently broken and have a new habit around, that may sound very simple to some, but is like a major victory to me, is when I want to at night after I've had what I call a full tilt boogie day. I just want to watch some half hour to hour of Netflix,
Yeah.
and what was connected with Netflix was some yummy popcorn or whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's not healthy, especially if it's later at night.
Right.
And so I've replaced the popcorn or the whatevers with tea.
Mm.
So I've gotten this whole variety of. I now am a connoisseur of herbal teas. I've got a million of them, and because I want to make have made that as enticing as the popcorn.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
easy to do, but I have done it.
That's true. That would be a little different.
Yeah, a little, but I have, it's, it sounds funny, but it was a habit that was really challenging for me to master.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's the little ones that get you.
That's really true. It's true. There's like a certain level of excitement, comfort that comes with those little habits that you know don't really support you, yet you enjoy so much. So it's letting go of something that you really do enjoy and receive something from it, yet it's not as fulfilling mm, for you on another level that's maybe more non-feeling.
Mm. Yes, I mean the popcorn was associated with so many
Right.
things.
Yeah.
That's the thing to catch,
Yes.
and to observe that I was making the popcorn mean
Much more.
so much more, so much more than just a kernel of popcorn.
I get that, though. I think that's such a great example because most people can relate to that. Most people love, popcorn with their movie or, they res relate that to those moments of relaxation or community and family time and or just, alone time or whatever it is for you. I think there's so many things behind that, and you're right. These little kernels of popcorn are holding a whole lot of stuff.
For sure. For sure.
Well, I'd like to ask you one last thing before we end. And
Sure.
I think this is a really good wrap up to our conversation about women being on the edge of becoming. And I'd like to ask you, what wisdom would your past self need to hear when she was still living for others' expectations?
Oh, I love that question.
Mhm.
I would say that the only thing that matters is what you and your soul want.
Mm.
Um, we were talking earlier about getting opinions, and it's
Right.
great to get opinions, it's great to get input, but really the bottom line is the only thing that matters is what you and your soul want, which is why I take so much time talking to my knowingness, which is really my soul in disguise, if you will.
Yes.
That's what I would say. Yes.
I love that. Thank you, Debra.
You're welcome.
Such a beautiful conversation.
It was. We took all kinds of twists and turns.
I'd like to know, is there anything that you would like to offer the audience? And then I'll be sure to put that in the comments below.
I would love to, my audience, as I said, is women entrepreneurs, women professionals. And it, if someone else, is listening and wants this as well, a 30-minute clarity call on any subject that is, on your plate at this time. And just a little heads up is I will check in with my knowingness. So I work with my knowingness, my intuition all the time. So there will be some moments of, mini silences while I check. So you get me and my knowingness in this 30-minute call.
I mean, that sounds fantastic.
And I'll just say you can connect with me on creativing.info, and I guess you'll have that in writing.
Yes, it's already in the body of the show.
Okay, excellent.
It's already on there, and I'll make sure that so they can reach you through the website.
Exactly. Through
Okay.
the contact form, all you need to do on the contact form is say clarity call, and I will get, I'm really good at getting back to folks immediately.
That's great. That's great. Easy peasy. So
Very
take
easy
advantage
peasy.
of it. Yes. Take advantage of it, everyone. You don't want to miss this conversation. Debra, I really loved having you here, and thank you so much for being with me. I'd love to have you come back anytime and join in on other conversations that we have here on Evolving with Soul. And so to everyone out there, thank you for listening or watching the replay, and we will see you next week.
Thank you very much, Josette.
You're welcome. Thank you, Debra. Bye, everybody.